So we've managed to make our way through some word problems before, but maybe we should try to break things down into steps and see if we could find some systematic way if we're having trouble. So let's suppose we have a barn. That's my barn. And it's like there. And we want to make a pen, but we're very cheap. So we want to make our pen up against the barn. So we only have to use 3 pieces of fence. That'll help save us some money. So let's say we have 30 feet of fencing total. And let's say the length is twice the width. So we have 30 feet of total fencing, and we have a length that's equal to twice the width. So the question is, what are the dimensions of our pen? It's meant to hold a bunny, or maybe more than one. They can't travel into the barn. They can't go through barn walls. And for some reason, they can't burrow either or hop over the fence. So what are the dimensions here? Okay, so here's going to be our steps. Here's our steps. Step 1. Steps 1. Find the variables we are seeking. That's kind of ambiguous. What do I mean by that? I mean, whatever variable it is, let's identify the variable that we're looking for. Like, we're not looking for the perimeter of this fence, right? We know that there's 30 feet of fencing total. What we're looking for are the dimensions, so the length and the width. So this is what we want to find. Okay, now we need some equations here. Let's try to use what we've been told in order to see what sort of equations. And let's say if we have our width, our length, you can also draw a picture like I did, because I didn't want to write this all out in a paragraph. But if you're not given a picture, you can draw it. Some word problems have pictures attached to them. So what we want to do is we want to find out what we're told. So we know that W plus L plus W is 30. And we're also told that L is twice the width. The length is twice the width. Okay. So I want to find L and W. I have my equation. And the answer is, now at this point, you usually don't know what to do, but it's not a bad idea to plug. So our second step was to write equations for the given information. Next step is generally plug. We don't know what we're doing. Let's just try plugging. So what happens if we plug into our equations? What do I mean? I have one equation here, one equation here. I could stick this L right in here. W plus 2W plus W equals 30. Or I get 4W equals 30. Or I can see this is a linear equation right now, because I get 4W minus 30 equals 0. So at this point, I can either solve my equation as so, or I could use the negative b over a formula. If I use that, I'd get negative 30, which is also going to give me 30 over 4. But I'm not done, because remember, what are we trying to find? We're trying to find L and W. So I know what W is. I still need to find L, but L is 2W. So I can just plug again. I can plug W, which I have here, right into that. So I get 2 times 30 over 4, which is going to be 30 over 2, which is 15. And I could even simplify this as 15 over 2. So my dimensions are the length of 15 and a width of 15 over 2. And at the end, after we're done plugging, what did we do? We solved, and then we can check our work. So let's think about that. Well, if this W width is 15 over 2, and 15 over 2, and this is 15, which is what we said, what would we get when we added this all up? Well, the total amount of fence would be 15 over 2 plus 15 over 2, so that's 15 for this piece and this piece, and 15 for that, which gives us our 30. So I've checked my answer, it fits the problem, and what did we do? Well, we tried to figure out what we were finding, because sometimes we might find something completely different. I might have given you area as an output or something like that. We wrote equations for what was given. Usually in these problems, they're not going to give you like completely unrelated information. Like they probably wouldn't give you, say, the volume of the barn, the entire height and the interior, all the cubic feet on the inside. That's probably not going to be something they're going to give you. They're probably working with you when they give you these kinds of problems. So we write down the equations, and then usually we're going to have some step where we have to plug. We plug with the aims of solving for the things that we're looking for. We're going to have to solve some sort of equation. Here it was a linear equation. It won't always be linear as we move forward. And then we checked our work. So that's a little procedure that might help us when we encounter problems like this.